Hey guys, this is Adam. I want to do another video. This time, just talking about the state of the world right now, the events that are happening, how things are changing. First, I'd like to just say a few things about myself. So, I've always had a very analytical mind, a very discerning, inquisitive mind. And I think one thing that sets me apart from most people is that I have a desire for knowledge. I want to know. I want to know things. I want to know what life is, why we're here, what this reality is that we're experiencing. I find it extremely bizarre that we are having this experience at all. I find it very strange that life exists itself. And furthermore, I also find it very odd that other people aren't as confused about this as I am. They're not as concerned about it as I am. And I understand that partly because this is just all we know. This is all we've ever experienced. So trying to imagine things outside of that is difficult for most people. But I've also had a very abstract imagination. I'm able to not just think outside the box, but question why we're thinking inside of a box in the first place. I have a very good imagination that allows me to picture things, abstract ideas, and make sense of them. So, the reason I'm saying all this is because I continuously do research on various topics that interest me. I'm what's referred to as an autodidact. Basically, that just means that I'm self-taught. I've never really felt comfortable in the institution of school, college, whatever you want to call it. There's something that I find very irksome about that whole setup. Testing and grading, curriculum, teachers, all that. So with that being said, I do spend most of my time, my free time, simply reading, watching documentaries, talking to people that share common interests, and some of the things that I like to look into are things like the military and black operations, suppressed technologies. Those are subjects I find very interesting and very pertinent to our day-to-day experience. And it's rather unfortunate because most people would be extremely shocked if they understood the true state of technology that human beings possess. First thing that people really need to understand is that there's always been this, what would you call it? The rulers, the people that feel like it's their personal divine right to rule over people and direct the trajectory of the human experience. The kings and queens and religious leaders of ancient times right up until today. It should not surprise anybody that powerful people would get together, share their power to an extent, to gain more control and power over people, and make the world the way they want it. That's just part of human nature. So this suppression of technology has been going on for thousands of years. The church, the Vatican specifically, they're not stupid. These individuals are extremely intelligent. They have miles upon miles of hidden archives beneath the Vatican. Hidden manuscripts, ancient manuscripts, books, texts, information, recorded history leading all the way back up until Atlantis. They're not stupid. When they would, when they would speak pejoratively about people like Giordano Bruno, saying that there's infinite planets out there and infinite beings that live on those planets in 500 AD, they weren't stupid. They knew what he was saying would be damaging to their power structure, and that's why they burned him at the stake. Same with Galileo. They did not want the advent of this scientific discovery threatening their power and threatening their dogma. Leonardo da Vinci was an absolute genius, and the things that he created, the inventions he made, were taken very seriously by the Vatican and the existing power structure at that time. They might have denounced him in public, claimed he was a heretic and this and that, but behind the scenes they were they're very active in implementing many of his inventions. Submarines, tanks, helicopters. So the idea that in 500 AD Leonardo da Vinci develops a rudimentary design for a helicopter or some sort of flying machine, and they go to work on developing these designs fervently. It's not so hard to believe that they were successful in creating a flying machine within, the next 500 years. Even if that were the case, we're talking 1000 AD with a flying machine. So what I'm trying to say is that the way most people believe that technology advances is not the way that it really advances. Technology is constantly suppressed by the existing power structure of the day. And because you can't stifle or cause the advent of technologies to become stagnant, the only thing they can do is constantly suppress it so that it creeps and crawls slowly at as slow a pace as they possibly can make it, while suppressing any major breakthroughs as they come along. Then moving forward, you had somebody like Nikola Tesla, Nikola Tesla was very heavily involved in many black projects. Philadelphia experiment, projects involving time travel, things like that. The man was an absolute genius. I believe that Nikola Tesla was probably the smartest man to ever exist in history. It's, probably Leonardo da Vinci coming in a close second. Although it's hard to determine because they just live in two different time periods. But anyway, the things that this man invented were the foundation for everything, all of our modern technology. But of course, so much of his scientific discoveries were suppressed. He developed free energy, at the turn of the 20th century. The way that he did this was with basically utilizing the Earth, the natural electromagnetic field of the Earth, and transmitting electric signals through the airwaves that could power things wirelessly. Any electronic device could just pick up on this electromagnetic field of the Earth and power itself. See, people are under this impression that if something like that existed, that it would have came out, it would have helped people. But you have to understand. J.P. Morgan was the guy that was mainly backing Nikola Tesla and Westinghouse. They can't make money if he develops a free energy device. There's no way to charge people for that. Eventually what had happened was Nikola Tesla needed about $1 million grant to continue his research and build his Tesla tower. And what this tower would have done is it would have been able to transmit the signal, this electromagnetic signal, through the airwaves, and would have been able to power a great majority of the United States. Of course, then the idea being that with a little bit more fine-tuning, just a few of these towers placed strategically across the planet, and you've got free energy for everybody. So it's important that people understand this, because so much of our social mores and our economic issues are, so many of our problems that we have today could be solved very easily with the implementation of these technologies that are being suppressed. It's important people understand that this is how this power structure operates, because that way we can make the necessary steps required to remove this power structure and free humanity from the grips of its control. This is not hopeless. We can do this. It's very, very plausible. But it takes a great effort, and it takes a lot of us working together, and it takes a selfless desire to help your fellow human beings. So much of our society is structured in a way to encourage self-interest and self-serving behavior, because that creates division, and the more divided we are, the easier we are to control. This is well known. Everybody knows this. Divide and conquer. It's an old adage. So, all that being said, I would just encourage people to do their own research on things. It's really unfortunate that so many people have so little concern for important issues. I understand that a lot of it is because they're deceived into doing so. The power structure plays upon everyone's negative emotions and supports their bad habits and encourages people to not think for themselves and pay attention to things like sports, Kim Kardashian's ass, and so much of this crap that's completely inconsequential to the real values of the human experience. You can see a change happening, though. There is a momentum that's building, and a big change happening in the consciousness of the people. Starting out very slow, but picking up speed as it goes. There will eventually be a tipping point. You see a lot of people trying too. They know that this shifting in consciousness is going to happen. They've known this for a long time and they've prepared for it. And they know they can't stop it. So their whole plan is to just control it as best as they can and simply distract people. It's not a coincidence that so many people have become social justice warriors and, seek to help people and help the planet. They're just misguided in their way that they're doing it. Because they've planned for this. They've planned for this to happen. This is the apocalypse. Apocalypse means age of revealing. With the advent of the internet and the free flow exchange of information, nothing is hidden anymore from anybody. All the information of the human experience can be accessed with a device in your pocket. So the whole game plan, of course, at this point is just simply to get you to not look into it. They know they can't hide the information, so they just distract you from it. Simple as that. So don't let them win. Don't let them deceive you. Don't let them continue to suppress the human experience and suppress human consciousness. We can win this fight. We have a good shot at this point. Things have developed now on this planet to an extent that we have a real shot at freeing ourselves from this heinous power structure that's been suppressing us for so long. It's not going to be easy, and it's going to take a lot of personal, individual growth and responsibility. I, of course, am a part of that as well, just like everybody else. The important point is that we don't give up, and that we let our intuition and our human spirit guide us through this transitional phase, and really listen to your heart, but also keep a discerning and vigilant and inquisitive mind, skeptical mind. I like to refer to myself as an open-minded skeptic that believes anything is possible. See, most people, when they hear information that they're not familiar with, they'll immediately say, "Oh, that's nonsense. That can't be true." They have this misnomer that just because they've never heard something before in their life, that it must not be true. The idea that information could be hidden from them for some reason just never crosses their mind, I guess. I don't know. But when I hear new information that I think sounds crazy or unlikely or implausible, I say the same thing. That sounds fucking crazy. That's ridiculous. Now tell me more. The ability to continue to examine and research information that sounds crazy is how you are able to make an educated decision on what's true and what's not. If you simply refuse to investigate information, no matter what the information is, then you'll never be able to make an educated decision on whether or not the information is true. Which means you have to look into things like the flat earth. You have to. As crazy and absurd as it might sound, if you don't, you'll have no way to be able to tell anybody, one way or the other, what the truth of the situation is. And me personally, being completely honest about the subject, I don't know. I don't know what the shape of the planet is. I don't know